Hello everyone, it's me again, Darky and I'm bringing to you another video today. This time discussing the third season of the SDL. As I've mentioned in my previous video, as I've mentioned before, we've been through a second season already that has not been recorded, unfortunately. But I did win that one as well. The final match was also against the Phantom Samurais Chicago Beartics, just like the first season actually. It was admittedly a lot closer than it was in the first seasons. I may just upload the finals eventually, just so you guys can see for yourselves. I don't have the drafts right here, but I could go fetch them if the document would just work. But it's been we've been having issues with it recently. Let's see. There we go. So as we can see, I had this team right here. I drafted Conkodar, Salamence, Empoleon, Galvantula, Rhyperior, Rotom Frost, Mega Banette, Slowbro, Amoonguss, Chandelure, and Reuniclus. You may or may not believe me when I say that I actually got some millage out of Mega Banette, and it did its share of work actually. But yeah, the main idea behind the team was that I could run Trick Room, I could run Tailwind. I don't think I ever ended up doing that actually. I could run the webs, obviously, with Galvantula, and mess around with my opponent's speed tiers, essentially. It ended up working out pretty well for me, even though I barely made the cut for the actual playoffs, but then I went on my winning streak and ended up winning it all, so there's that. Really, there's nothing much more to say about the second season. We had a few new players. We changed to the GBA format at that time, and basically this is what this is about. So now that we've finished the second season, which was still, by the way, in 6th Gen OU, or based on it actually, now that we are moving on to the 7th Gen, we've decided to make our own tier list. Basically preempting the GBA Season 7. We haven't exactly tested anything, but we did make extensive votings and discussions, long debates over which Pokemon should end up in which tier. We've got them all right here, I believe. And I won't make a long discussion over what was decided, but essentially, it's important to know that we've added another tier in the mega tiers. Instead of being on 4 tiers, it's actually on 5 tiers now, as far as we are concerned. So we've divided. We've actually put Mega Aerodactyl, Mega Diancie, Mega Gyarados, Sableye, Sceptile, and Swampert in a tier of their own, which is between the highest tier Megas and the tier 3 Megas, where you'll find the likes of Mega Absol, Mega Aggron, Beedrill, Blastoise, and Sharpedo. The reason for that was that we felt that these Megas in particular weren't just quite as strong as the ones in tier 1, but significantly stronger than the ones in tier 3. So we added a different amount of points for drafting a tier 2 Mega, which really only allows you to maybe pick an additional tier 1 or an additional tier 2 rather, if that's what you want to go for. So yeah, I'm quite satisfied with the way we tiered stuff. Not a lot of Pokemon that I think should be higher or lower actually, but there are a few. But it's the first season in Gen 7. You can expect most of these Pokemon to shift at all after people have started messing around with them more. just like in any regular tiered system. Um, so let's look over what everyone drafted for Season 3. We've got all 12 teams right here. We've got not only have we got more people than we did in the first season, we've got different people as well. Let's start with the Atlanta Hydreigons. The Atlanta Hydreigons are coached by Purple Tug. Purple is he's not exactly a new player. He joined in season 2. His draft consists of Lindorus Incarnate, Curem, Primarina, Delmise, Drapion, Magmar, Mega Scizor, Azelf, Electros, Porygon Z, and Nian Xiao. I'm actually quite a fan of his team. I like that he drafted Curem and Primarina. Delmise is also quite good. Not so sure about Magmar. I think he could have done better for Fire type. But Nian Xiao, Azelf, Porygon Z are all very aggressive and offensive threats, which combine to make a very, very high, potentially a very hyper offensive team, essentially, which is quite scary. The one thing that I like to mention, though, is that we're not allowing Z moves, to my regret. I voted for keeping them in the league format, but unfortunately that didn't pass and they've been banned. So the Pokemon like Porygon Z aren't exactly as scary in this format as they are in the current metagame on Showdown. The reason for that being that, of course, Porygon Z does not get access to the Conversion Z move, which is what made it so popular in the first place. The Buffalo Bouffalants are coached by Jiggy. He returns from season 1 and 2. Skarmory, Tapu Fini, Arcanine, Lycanroc, Scrafty, Lantern, Mega Sceptile, Metagross, Mudsdale, Bouffalant, and Silvally. I really don't like the Silvally. I think it's going to underperform terribly. I'm not really a fan of Jiggy's team, but we'll see how he manages to deal with this season. Next, we've got Gentle Trainer of the Dead Mold Darkrai. He's he's the founder of the league, actually. So he's been there since the very beginning. Mew, Togekiss, Crocodile, Rotom Heat, Registeel, Garbodor, Megalupini, Larias, Blastoise, Trevenant, X-Cloud. One thing I didn't mention, and I think it's pretty important to talk about it, is that we have different rules concerning Mega Pokemon than the GBA does, and one of these very important rules is that not only is it possible to draft a Pokemon that's the normal form of a Pokemon that's been drafted as a Mega, it's also possible for you to keep your Pokemon as the basic form, even though you've only drafted the Mega, provided it has the Mega Stone on it. So it has to have the Mega Stone, but if you wanted to use regular Venusaur instead of Mega Venusaur, you could. If you drafted Mega Venusaur, as long as it has Mega Stone. And this does affect tiering a little. Most notably, Mega Sharpedo is affected by that in our league. Mega Sharpedo is a lot better if it can get speed boosts, as you all know. So this is a reason why Mega Sharpedo is a bit higher in our tiering system. In any case, let's see. Next, we've got the Winchester Whimsicots, coached by Cell Kairas. He's also a returnee from the first 2 seasons. Tapu Koko, Ferrothorn, Araquanid, Dugtrio, Hitmonchan, Armaldo, Mega Swampert, Pelipper, Bisharp, Alolan Raichu, and Kingdra. If you're wondering why we let him draft a full Rain team, it's because no one cares. No, but seriously, I like Rain. I think it's going to do very well against some teams and struggle against others. It's still one of my favorite teams out of the ones that were drafted this season. But it is susceptible to a few different teams that he's definitely going to be struggling with. Next, we've got Nico. Nico is new from the past season. He joined in season 2. Nico is Bumalaka on Showdown. He coaches the Orlando Magikarps. And he's actually going to be our week 2 opponent this season. He's got on his team Magirna, Salamence, Yuxi, Emboar, Manic Trick, Lipard, Mega Blastoise, Mamoswine, Gengar, Shaman, and Odino, and was voted the probably strongest team on paper at least for this season. Which I kind of agree with. I think few teams have quite as much flexibility and firepower as he does. He might be struggling a little on the defensive side, but he's got very good mons in the form of Salamence, Mega Blastoise, and Odino for tanking hits. So matchup-wise, it's going to be very hard to deal with the Magikarps, and Magirna in particular. I think is going to be very strong. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Next, we've got the Miami Heaters, which are coached by Loris Masta, another returnee from the first 2 seasons. Huron Black, Slowbro, Galvantuda, Venusaur, Hitmonlee, Lee Mega Gardevoir, Heatran, Golbat, Diggersby, Regirock. I don't have very much to say about this team. Very scary team, except that I don't really like this Niso. I think you could have picked something better than that. Golbat is okay as well. I do like the Regirock, Diggersby. He's got very high firepower in his team, and he's got access to webs, which is really going to help out not only Diggersby and Mega Gardevoir, but also the Huron Black, and that's threatening to say the least. Next, we've got the Chicago Beartics. The Beartics have drafted this season Celesteela, Zygarde, Sarina, Darmanitan, Mesprit, Piloswine, Mega Medicham, Manaphy, Muck, the Alolan one, Medibuzz, and Zebstrika. I think, unfortunately for him, Phantom really didn't draft the strongest team around this time. He knows it. Everyone knows League is the champion of the previous season gets to have his champion pick, which is basically the first pick of the draft. Otherwise, the champion drafts last. So I use my champion's pick on Tapu Lele. I think Tapu Lele is probably one of the scariest mon going around right now. It's very hard to deal with the psychic terrain, very hard to deal with the psychic and fairy stabs, very hard to deal with the coverage moves it can learn. It can be Scarfed, Specs, it can use Trick Room if you want to go with that. You can run just about anything on it, except for physical offense. And I think it's going to put in a lot of work this season. Basically, having Tapu Lele on my team means that my opponents are forced to draft, taking it into account. And not just taking it into account, but also taking into account that they need something to outspeed it absolutely. Which is probably the scariest thing that you could think of. And since I managed to draft the Magnezone as well, they have to take into consideration that Steel types are not a good counter for my Tapu Lele, which is also fantastic. I got the Crobat, Tangrowth, Alomomola. I always end up having a few Regenerator Mons on my team. I think they're easy, not necessarily easy, but handy to have. I think it adds a lot of flexibility to a team to have a solid defensive core that you can just slap on whenever you need to. So Tangrowth, Alomola. Let's see, I've got the Claydol for rapid spinning purposes and Stealth Rock purposes. I drafted Mega Charizard X, Nihilego, Mimikyu, Medicham, and Guzzlord. Some of you might think Guzzlord is a bit weird, but it actually matches up quite well on the team. It takes on the water and dark type weakness that my team otherwise had, Ghost as well. So that's very helpful. I think the other ones I really like is Mimikyu. Mimikyu, of course, because of this guy's ability, is going to be, I think, putting in a lot of work in this format, especially since I can tailor it for a specific team. Mega Charizard X, of course, is a threat all around. Always ends up having high kills, no matter what league you draft it into, no matter what opponents you go up against. There's always the risk of being swept by a late game Mega Charizard X. So there's that going for my team as well. Crobat is a good defogger. Crobat is a good revenge killer. Crobat has 130 base speed, and all around just a good Pokemon to have around on his team. That does mean that I have 2 poison types. I have 3 psychic types. My team does have a few elemental weaknesses, but I believe that I've managed to round them up quite well. Next, we've got Vepsis. Vepsis is a new player this league, but I hear he's quite good and has got some experience with other leagues before joining our own. He's also the champion of another league. I wish I knew which one, so I could mention it right here, but I don't. He's drafted a very, I feel, standard team for a previous generation. Let's see. Jirachi, Infernape, Donphan, Roserade, Zoroark, Miltank, Megalarias, Florges, Suicune, Electivire, Staraptor, and as we can see, he hasn't drafted a single 7th Gen mon, which is very surprising to me. He's going to be our first opponent. I'm going to be battling him later today, and really looking at his team, I think the most threatening mons on his team are definitely Jirachi. Zoroark can put in a lot of work as well if you can play smart with it, with its ability, Illusion. Megalarias is always a threat. Suicune, of course, is bulky as all hell. And Staraptor, I think, is definitely underestimated. I'll be covering my my thoughts on our matchup when just a few minutes before recording our battle, basically. And I'll be going over my team. When I explain my picks, I'll basically go over the team in more details. Next, we've got Amarilla. I'm not sure how you're supposed to pronounce her name. I think it's one of these things. I'm not sure how you're supposed to pronounce her town name, either Nederlandians, Noterlandians, Uter. I'm not sure. In any case, Larry, if you can enlighten me, I would appreciate it. She drafted Kartana, Necrozma, Vaporeon, Nidoqueen, Hitmontop, Zangoose, Megazard Y, Alolan Ninetales, Jolteon, Flygon, Greninja, and my opinion on of this team is that I'm a bit divided on it. I think Kartana, Necrozma, Vaporeon, Zangoose, Zard Y, all solid picks. I love them, but the thing that I think is a bit surprising is that she hasn't drafted anything to go along with the weather abilities of Zard Y and then the Alolan Ninetales, and I think it's a bit of a waste, honestly. But she plays well. She managed a solid victory against her week round, her round 1 opponent this week, and I'm looking forward to see how her next matches go. I'm especially looking forward to see how she uses the Alolan Ninetales. After that, next we've got the London Lucario's making a return after a Season 2 break. London as you all know him now, has drafted Xerxes, Hydreigon, Nidoking, Mantine, Gigalith, Xatu, Mega Venusaur, Excadrill, Alolan Marowak, Ditto, and Swirpuff. He's got a very, very classic setup. Sand Cadrill with the Mega Venusaur, annoying to deal with for most teams probably. I and a few of us are lucky to have Psychic type Megas rather, which are really going to help in dealing with this team. I think it's really hard to deal with the Mega Venusaur when combined with the Excadrill. So most teams are probably going to want to have to deal with that and think deeply about how they're going to deal with London this season. Ditto, of course, is an all-around sweep blocker. And Slurpuff is actually a very dangerous Fairymon because of its ability combined with the Belly Drum move, which of course can always sweep a team when you least expect it. And last but not least, we've got the Singing Sea Kings, coached by Lord Shirohige, as he's known, and or Haku, as I know him. He's also a YouTuber. He's a German YouTuber, actually, and we're all really glad to have him. Let's see. He's got the Tapu Bulu, Entei, Snorlax, Tentacruel, Magneton, Rotom Frost, Mega Beedrill, Latios, Seismitoad, Gliscor, Cobalion, another very solid team. I think he could have drafted maybe something to pair up with Tapu Bulu a bit better. But other than that, very threatening mons, very fast mons, in the form of Latios, Cobalion, Tentacruel, not Snorlax obviously, but Mega Beedrill. And Gliscor, let's not forget that Gliscor has very high speed as well. So yeah, that covers just about everything I wanted to say. Going over everyone's team, announcing the season 3. We can take a look at the tiers if you guys want. We'll see quickly. I'll just pan out over the tier list like this so that you can see which mon ended up being in which tier. Which I think is interesting in and of itself. But yeah, it goes on for a bit longer. And just a bit more.